Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our live hangout on air about agency best practices with some common AdWords issues. My name is Whitney McAniff. I'm the Customer Experience Lead here in North America, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Tanisha Hospodale. She is a policy expert, so we're really excited to have her on board for the remainder of this series. Today, we're going to be talking about something that seems pretty basic, but actually impacts essentially everybody.
Account.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yep. Which is ad approval. So we're going to go over some common scenarios as well as the best practices for resolving them. I know there's a lot of open questions that people have about the length that ad approvals takes and things like that. So hopefully we'll be able to attack some of those. And a really quick reminder that this is a live event. So you are able to leave questions during the course of this event in the community page, and we'll try to get to them. And also, if you want to add questions after the event, we'll go ahead and reach back out to you later on today or tomorrow with answers to those as well. So a really quick look at today's agenda. I think it covers
everything.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
Perfect. So we're going to go ahead and be tackling these. And first, we're going to start with diagnosing ad issues.
So when you're looking in your account, the first step would be for you to look at the alert bell in the top right-hand corner of the account. That'll tell you everything about any issues you have in your account, period, like any issues, but specifically for ads. There's two options, actually. One's not on the screen. You can click where it says 10 ad disapproved, and it'll go directly to the part of your account where all your disapproved ads are located. Or you can click the Fix It hyperlink under the red alert button, which will also take you to where your ads are located, the disapproved ads.
There's also another way to filter for ads, which is actually using the filter function, which is on the ads tab, the keywords tab, the ad groups tab. We're talking about the filter function on the ads tab right now. Both using the alerts and the alarm bell and that fix it option will essentially create a filter for disapproved ads. You can also do the same thing here. And it is on your ads tab under the filter button. Another really neat trick is you can also look at ads that are under review or have certain approval statuses like approved limited, which we'll kind of touch on later. So these are the two ways that you can actually find all of the ads that are disapproved within your account.
The filter function should be your friend, your best friend.
Yeah. So while that's Tanisha's best friend, my best friend is actually the policy details column. This is kind of the holy grail for figuring out what on earth is going on in your account. These are the steps to finding the policy details column. It's under the columns tab. Again, this is going to be on the ads tab, but there's also policy details available under keywords. Select the columns and then go into modify columns. And from there, it's under attributes. So if you haven't seen what it looks like before, this is what happens is a column gets added. And what's really, really nice about it is it actually has a link, and you'll see here the hyperlink for destination URL not working. It actually links you directly to the Help Center page, so you can figure out what on earth destination URL not working means.
So when you guys call in, you're like, my ad is disapproved. This is exactly what we're doing to figure this out. So this is very good information for you guys to be able to do this on your own.
And I think that's a really good point. This is what we use internally. We use the policy details column. That's how we figure out what's going on in an account as well. So you have the same access to literally the same tool that we do. So something important to keep in mind. I also find that if you have questions like about ad performance, let's say you think an ad group isn't serving as well as it should be, policy details is a really great gut check.
Yeah. It could be a trademark issue, a targeting issue with the location targeting. It'll definitely tell you anything you need to know about your ads.
Yeah. So when in doubt, add policy details, leave it up. It's an awesome column. We highly recommend it. Okay, so now onto the good stuff, resubmitting ads within the account for approval. So one quick note, don't resubmit ads until the issue's been resolved.
Please.
We see people resubmit ads over and over and over again, and we'll talk about some the disapprovals that are a little trickier with this later on, but there's a couple of ways to resubmit ads. The first way is actually from within the AdWords interface itself. If you hover your mouse over the disapproved status bubble, you can go ahead and click that Resubmit My Campaign for Review button. And that takes you to a page where you can resubmit all campaigns or specific campaigns for review. So that's one of my favorite ways to do it.
And again, that's what we do if we ever were to resubmit an ad for you on your behalf. So again, we're not using anything different. We're not looking at any other tools. We're using the AdWords interface, so you guys can do the same.
Yep. The other way to resubmit ads is from within the Help Center. So if you go ahead and Google Ad Review, AdWords, you're going to go ahead and find this page where you can fill out this contact form and resubmit ads. And kind of jumping off what Tanisha was saying, not only are these the exact same tools that we use, it sends you to the exact same ad review queue that we use internally as well. So there's no different speed for the ad review system. If you submit it from your end, or you call us or chat us in with an issue, or reach out to your dedicated Google account reps, we're all using the same ad review queue here. So it oftentimes is actually faster for you all to resubmit on your end.
100%.
Yep. Cool. So not every ad disapproval can be resubmitted from within the Help Center or the AdWords interface. It can only be used for disapprovals relating to certain policies, and there's a list here. Some policies actually don't allow you to resubmit within that. So if you don't see the Resubmit My Campaign for Review button, that's what's going on. When that happens, and actually for any policy, if you actually need to make an edit to the ad itself to fix the problem, let's say remove a second exclamation point.
You can also, in the URL, you can edit the URL. So you can add a slash, you can take a slash away, you can add a question mark, things that don't actually affect the ad text, because I know a lot of users are like, I don't want to make changes in my ad. We don't want you to change your ad text. We just want to resubmit the ad for review via you making a change.
Exactly. So the same thing, filling in the form or resubmitting your campaign for review, saving a change to the ad sends it to the same review queue. So 9 times out of 10, resolving the issue in the ad itself, like removing a second exclamation point or fixing the domain URL so it matches the destination URL. That is going to automatically resubmit the ad for review. So just pay attention to what's going on in that approval status column. The other thing is that repeat submission of ads for review when the changes haven't been made can potentially lead to account suspensions. So don't do it. If there's a problem with the ad and you can't figure out quite what it is and you've used all of your resources, go ahead and reach out to us or check the Help Center. You want to fix it before you resubmit it, just in case. Okay, cool. So now we are going to take a moment and we're going to check out if there are any questions. Okay. And it looks like we do have a question. Okay, so this is on the community if you guys want to follow along. Great question. So Jen A is asking if there's a standard amount of time that she can depend on for ads to be approved, and that it makes scheduling shorter campaigns difficult when there's an ambiguous timeline. That's an amazing question.
So, yes and no. So I would say budget around 3 days, but if they're not reviewed within 3 days, please get in contact with us. We can then try to push it through, because sometimes it does take a little longer because our ad review team is a little busy. So definitely let us know if it's been longer than 3 days and we can push it through for you.
I would say that the majority of ads that I see get approved within 12 hours. With something like auto dealers, and not to get into too many account specifics, but anything that might involve trademark terms or anything related to healthcare.
Anything like sensitive.
Yep, any sensitive category might take a little bit longer. So Jen, my recommendation here is I would bank on 24 hours to 3 full days. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us. But I would say that we are doing our best on our end to get ad approvals in as quickly as possible. So
yeah, and I can guess that the reason for your delay may be trademark issues. So if you want to get in contact with us, we can take a look, depending on the auto dealer that you are advertising for.
Perfect. And we'll check again at the end of this if there are any additional questions. So let's keep trucking.
Choo-choo.
Like cars. And we're going to go into troubleshooting link issues. These ones are the majority of things that I see within accounts. This is incredibly common. And there's a bunch of different factors here. These can be a little bit more technical. So this is going to be recorded. It's going to be up if you ever want to revisit this information. And there's a wealth of information on our Help Center about this. So, don't fret if you're seeing link issues in an account. There is a way to fix it and make sure it doesn't happen going forward. A lot of what I see with something like, for example, an invalid HTTP response, which is one of the most common link issues, are people saying, hey, my page loads just fine.
Why is my ad disapproved? My page loads perfectly.
Exactly. There's no issue with it. A lot of the times, these are issues that are not visible to the naked eye. It could be third-party links or files on your website, such as a map plugin. A picture, exactly. Or perhaps your mobile site isn't working. So the cause is frequently broken elements of a page, a longer load time.
Mm-hmm.
So although it may seem like your page is loading in a normal amount of time, our system's super sensitive to that.
Mm-hmm.
Or redirects that we can't follow. So if your site redirects a whole bunch before you land on the final page, Google's not necessarily going to be able to follow that with our system.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these could lead to invalid HTTP responses. And the way to troubleshoot it is using Chrome and specifically Chrome developer tools to load your website and see what's going on.
I love Chrome developer tools.
Yeah.
Just to let you all know.
So what they are is a feature within the Chrome browser, which allows you to actually debug issues with the back end of websites. So all you do is you load up your web page, right click and select inspect, and then just reload the URL. And it's going to look something like this.
So it may say inspect or inspect element, depending on what type of computer you're using, just so that you're not looking for something that's not there.
Perfect. Good point. Once you have inspected it and loaded up Chrome developer tools, you're going to want to go to the network tab. Now, there's a wealth of information on all these other tabs, so feel free to play around with it. There's a ton going on there, but the network tab is going to show you all of the different elements on the page, and if there are any errors coming from any of them. And so that status column in between name and type is going to show you if there's any 400 or 500 level errors. Those are going to be things that aren't necessarily visible when you're looking at a page, but our system is going to see it on our end, and that's going to be flagging an error. Once you've narrowed it down and identified what it is, you can go ahead and fix that web page and then resubmit your campaign for review.
Side note, you need to refresh the page when you click the networks tab in order to see everything load to get the proper status for all your elements.
Yep. Perfect. So destination URL networking is a whole nother kettle of fish. So a lot of the times the causes are pretty straightforward. Your robots.txt file, which we'll go over a little bit more in a second, is actually blocking Google from crawling your site.
Bad.
Yeah, your website doesn't load in a specific area or region of the world, or your website can't be found. Some common troubleshooting is right here, checking the robots.txt file, making sure the website loads everywhere in the world using a website called GeoPeeker or another source. Some people change their IP address, things like that.
There are extensions you can use too, like Chrome extensions.
A million ways to do that. And also speaking with your hosting company to make sure servers aren't down. Something that I see is that if a server goes down, Google will find it, disapprove the ads, and then the server may go back up 20 minutes later and the ads are disapproved. In that instance, once you've kind of crossed all of your T's and dotted all of your I's and figured out what the issue was, just go ahead and resubmit those ads for review. Don't fret too much about it. So this destination URL not working is actually really great because with the advent of the final URL, it's so much easier to check what exactly is going on with your URL here. A really easy way to gut check this is to actually go in as if you were editing the ad and then clicking add URL options to expand it out and then testing your landing page. And this will tell you quite a bit more information about what on earth is actually going on. Can we find your URL? Can we not? You've gut checked it. You think you fixed the problem. Have you actually? This will be the first step before you resubmit.
And again, we do this as well. So when you guys call in and you're like, my ad's disapproved, this is exactly what I do to try to figure out what the issue is.
So once you've clicked the test button, you can actually go ahead and see what we think the click URL is, any other issues that we're seeing here, and you can go in and follow basically the Google system and see what we see when we load your page. That's going to help you diagnose quite a bit of this. So this is a really good gut check. It's something that I highly recommend if you're having chronic link issues, especially with destination URL not working. Robots.txt.
So pretty.
So I'm not a developer, but essentially, the robots.txt file is something that allows bots access or not access to certain pages on your website and your domain. What you need to do is allow Google to crawl your site. There's a million different reasons to do this. The primary one is not just ads, but also organic search related. If we can't access your website, we're not necessarily going to have the most fresh information for your organic search results. So it's just best practice all around. You'll see we have an example robots.txt file here. Like Tanisha said, it's a little messy, but at the bottom, you'll see in red the information that you need to be adding to let Google see your website. All of this is available on the Help Center. Any webmaster can edit, modify, and double check your robots.txt. Everyone has a different way of doing it. Totally understand that. You don't need to allow access to everything, but any page that you want an ad leading to needs to be accessible by the Googlebot and the AdsBot Google in order to run ads.
You can also check hurl.it for AdsBot-Google. It'll let you kind of like pretend your computer is a Googlebot and see if we're able to crawl it.
Yep. There's definitely a ton of tools to be able to do this and kind of fetch the pages if you were Google online. So take advantage of your resources, double check everything, and then once you fixed it, resubmit those ads for review.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's some ad group policy ones. These are relatively straightforward, but I see a lot of issues with them. One is inaccurate display URL. This is really straightforward. If I say I am taking somebody to www.whitney.com in my ad, but actually the page they get taken to is www.tanisha.com, that's misleading.
Yeah.
They might be better off, but it's misleading. So what you're going to need to make sure is that your display URL has the same root domain as your destination URL. You can have URIs, you can have subdomains, that's totally fine. But if you're taking them to www.whitney.com, the landing page needs to be on www.whitney.com as the domain. Really straightforward rule. This one's easy. If you have an issue with it, once you make the edit to your ad, it gets resubmitted for review, no problem.
Yeah. And the second one's even easier. It's more than one URL per ad group. So when I think of an ad group as a room in your house, you don't want to have like your kitchen sink in the bedroom. So you want to keep all your ads for one domain and one ad group. Does that make sense? Perfect sense.
Yep. So what we see a lot is somebody maybe changes their website domain and they have paused ads in an ad group pointing to the old domain. Just double check, make sure that you're looking at all of the ads. Removed ads don't count for these policies. So if you've removed or deleted an ad in the past that has a different domain, don't fret, that's not affecting it. But double check that all of the paused ads are sharing the same URL within an ad group and the same domain as their final or landing page URL, because that's going to affect it.
You can use our handy dandy filter to filter out by display URL to make sure all your ads in the ad groups have the same display URL.
Yep. So you can actually create a filter for disapproved ads and then add on URL filters so you can double check all of that.
Just layering it.
Yep. Okay, so common policy issues. These are much less common than link issues when it comes to ad disapprovals, which has always been interesting to me. So a really big one we see is clarity and relevance. Essentially, Google doesn't want to show ads that are unclear or confusing or potentially misleading to users, whether on purpose or accidentally. So the solution is to make sure that your ad is really straightforward. If you are running business A, your ad talks about business A and it leads to a website regarding business A.
Has business A's logo, business A's branding, business A's name everywhere. This is business A's ad.
Yep. We see this a lot more with image ads than with text ads. And so my best recommendation is that if you're using any sort of animated ad or like a rich media ad, the final frame needs to clearly state what the product is. There also can't be any like trick to click or anything that's sort of misleading about it. If you do have questions about this one, because this one can feel more subjective, even though it's really not, definitely feel free to reach out or use the Help Center. It's some great resources there.
And one disapproval reason I always see is the contrasting border. So you need to have a contrasting border on your ad. If you don't, you'll get disapproved for trick to click, as in the user won't be able to distinguish between your ad and the landing page where your ad is. So make sure the border is contrasting.
A great gut check here is pretend you're somebody who's never seen the internet before and you're looking at the ad. Would you be confused about whether it's an advertisement or not? In which case it needs to be more clear. Would you be confused about what business is being advertised? In which case it needs to be more clear. That's kind of how Google's going through and reviewing these. So just pretend that you have come out from under the rock that you live under.
Yeah, or like your grandma. I use my grandma as an example all the time. She would never know.
Yeah. So punctuation seems straightforward. We see it a lot. There are certain things you can't do, like no exclamation points in the ad headline, no more than one exclamation point in an ad. There's some other stuff that makes sense. No gimmicky use of letters. Don't try to hide words.
Just don't do it.
Yeah. For a myriad reasons. First thing first, you're kind of circumventing some of our policies, and don't try to circumvent our policies by hiding things in other text. The other thing is it doesn't make the ad look good.
It looks messy. Very, very messy. Very, very messy.
Yeah, you want to present the best image of your end client to the people that are using Google. And so gimmicky things are not going to be doing that.
And you want to kind of like solidify your place as a real business, and having an @ sign for an A or an O doesn't necessarily say that to a user.
Agreed. Capitalization, same thing. Best practice is to actually capitalize pretty liberally within the ad. I would argue for the ad headline, you want to capitalize the first letter of every word. Within ad text, I tend to recommend just following normal standard grammar rules of punctuation for whatever language the ad text is in.
Right.
But if you're using gimmicky capitalization, you're going to get disapproved. One thing to note here is that if there is a common acronym like USA or CA for California, those are allowed to be overcapitalized. If it is a trademark term, let's say you have a trademark term that is Tanisha, all caps with an exclamation point at the end.
Yes.
You are allowed to do that. You may initially get disapproved. Please reach out to us. We can go ahead and push that through for approval, as long as that actually is the name of the product or the brand or the company.
And you want to be able, we want to be able to go to your website and see it. If we can see it on your landing page for your ad, we can see it on your products, you're good to go. If not, it's going to be a little harder to get that through. So make sure to ensure that whatever your branding is, if it's all capital, it's on your website.
And one thing to note is coupon codes really shouldn't be included in ads if they have gimmicky capitalization, letters, things like that. So if that is something that you are looking into doing, is including coupon codes, definitely reach out to your Google team that you work with or support, so we can go ahead and help you figure out if you can implement those and the best way to do that. Cool. So let's take a moment. Let's see if we have any additional questions, because that first one was really good.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah. Okay.
Steve.
Okay, great. So Steve F asked if there's any sort of appeal process if we feel there's an ad which was disapproved and should not have been.
Sure. Give us a call or send us an email or chat and we can take a look into it. It's not necessarily an appeals process. We're just going to double check to make sure our policy team was correct in disapproving your ad.
Yep. And if, again, it's an instance like a link policy where your server was down, we reviewed the ad, we disapproved it, and now your server's back up, just resubmit for review. If it is more of a policy issue or kind of a gut check, definitely reach out to us. And Peter M says, how do you define the line between native advertising and trickery? That is a great question that isn't exactly in the scope of this hangout right now. The Help Center, and if you go through and look up the Trick to Click or Clarity and Relevance policy, and our Help Center has a lot more resources. But at the end of this, Peter, I'll go ahead and follow up with you with a post on the community with some more information about that. Really good question. Okay, cool. So just to wrap it up, AdWords resources. I love the Help Center.
Use them.
Yeah.
They're great. I use them on the phone with you guys.
Yeah. We love the Help Center. You also do have access, if you are working in an agency that has dedicated Google support, you have access to the Google team that you work with, and you always have access to support via phone, chat, or email. We're always here to help out. We use a lot of the same resources, if not all the same resources that you all have on your end. But if you have a question, if you want a second set of eyes on things, please utilize. You can always tweet us. There is a community page as well. So there's a wealth of resources at your fingertips that you can utilize.
And people actually do respond to the community posts. It's not just a forum where it's only users responding. Googlers do respond to it.
Yep. So highly recommend reaching out for help in whatever method makes the most sense for you. We're here to assist. And in that vein, next week at the same time, Tanisha and I are going to be talking about landing page and site suspensions, common issues, and also best practices for resolving them. I know this is
a favorite topic.
It's a hot topic for everyone. So I hope you all do come back and feel free to, let more people know about this. We're really excited about that topic next week.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you all so much for joining. We hope you learned a lot. Feel free to add any additional questions. We'll be following up to them on the community page. And we hope you have a great rest of your day.